Me'akasu v'asu Mikdash v'goymer. The pasuk in this week's parsha where it says the mitzvah to build the Mishkan or the Beis HaMikdash, Hanema b'parsha Seinu, Yalef HaRambam, the Rambam learns out as follows. And the Rabbi here quotes the lashon of the Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvahs, that it's a mitzvah sasei shetzivanu livnois Beis HaBechira la'avodah. Hashem commands us to build a Beis HaBechira to serve Him in it. Boy yiyeh ha'hakrove v'havaras ha'esh tamid. There you will bring the karbanis, and there will be a burning fire there constantly. Ve'elav tiyeh ha'halicha v'ha'aliyah l'regel chulu. And to this building of the Beis HaMikdash, you will go and be oile regel 3 times a year. V'hu omre yizbarach. And this is the mitzvah that the pasuk says, v'asi l'mikdash. U'mamshech, and the Rambam continues, shezeh klal, this general mitzvah, koilu minim rabim, includes many details. Shehem, what are the details of this mitzvah? Hamenayre, v'hashulchan, v'hamizbeach. The mizbeach, besides the structure of the Beis HaMikdash, that is, besides the structure of the Beis HaMikdash itself, there is the menayre, the shulchan, and the mizbeach, v'zulasam, and the other kelim besides them. Kulam michelke HaMikdash. They are all parts of the building of the Beis HaMikdash. V'hakoil, and everything together, the structure of the Beis HaMikdash and the kelim in the Beis HaMikdash, Yikare Mikdash, are referred to as the Beis HaMikdash, which the mitzvah of Asuli Mikdash applies to. So it's all one mitzvah, because they are all parts of the building of the Beis HaMikdash. Ukvar yichad atzivui b'chol chelek v'chelek. The Torah specifies the command to build each one of these kelim. However, they're not counted as a separate mitzvah. They're all counted as one mitzvah to build the Beis HaMikdash that includes all of these kelim, all of these details. So the Rambam here is telling us, all of the kelim of the Beis HaMikdash are not a separate mitzvah. They are parts of the one mitzvah, which is to build the Beis HaMikdash. However, the Rambam disagrees with the Rambam, and he writes, I don't agree to this reason that the Rambam writes, where the Rambam says that all the kelim of the Beis HaMikdash are only parts of the mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash. The kelim of the Beis HaMikdash are not a part of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash itself. These are 2 separate mitzvahs. And one does not prevent the other, one does not uphold the other. You can bring karbanis in the Beis HaMikdash, even if there are no kelim. The kelim that the Torah says. Mamshech, and then the Ramban continues and presents his own opinion. And therefore, etzli, according to me, Asiyas ha'aron v'ha'kapayres, the mitzvah to build the aron and the kapayres, the cover on the aron, lasum sham ha'edos, and you place inside of it the luchais, timna mitzvah b'fnei atzma. That's a separate mitzvah to build the aron. Ma she'asiyas ha'shulchan v'mizbeach u'menayre le timna mitzvah b'fnei atzma l'fidas Rambam. If the Ramban says that the kelim are not part of the building mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash itself, they are separate from the building itself. So why does the Ramban not count those kelim as a separate mitzvah? So the Ramban, that is, gives a completely different reason. The main mitzvah here is to have the lechem aponim, the bread, in front of Hashem constantly. And then Hashem commands us to prepare in order to make it possible to fulfill the mitzvah of lechem aponim, to place it in that shulchan that the Torah describes exactly what the shulchan should look like. The same also when it comes to preparing and lighting the menorah. The main mitzvah here is the lighting of the menorah, and then the Torah tells me what the menorah should be like. It should be made out of gold and all of the details of the menorah. So the reason why, according to the Rambam, the kelim are not counted as a separate mitzvah is not because they're part of the general structure of the Beis HaMikdash. It's because these kelim are just preparing the ability to do the mitzvah of placing the lechem aponim of lighting the menorah. So therefore they're not counted as a separate mitzvah because they're included in the mitzvah of the lechem aponim or of the menorah, and each keli, whatever the avodah is done with that keli, it's included in the avodah. That's the main mitzvah. V'hinei hein tashmishay kedusha. So it comes out that these kelim are just there for the use, to be a tashmish for the kedusha, for the holy work that's done with that keli. Hinei, so the Rebbe now explains, B'yishuv das Rambam, to explain the opinion of the Rambam. Why does the Rambam say that all the kelim are part of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash? The Ramban asked the question, you could bring a carbon even without having any of the kelim there, even without having the Beis HaMikdash there. So what's the reason why the kelim are part of the Beis HaMikdash and it's one mitzvah? Kosav HaMegillas Esther, the Megillas Esther, which is a sefer on the Sefer HaMitzvahs of the Rambam, explains the af shehem einan ma'akvim ho'aveda bebeis hamikdash. Although it's true that the kelim in the Beis Hamikdash do not prevent the aveda to be done in the Beis Hamikdash, so seemingly they're separate. Al zeh lo yimna mihiyoisam chalokim. However, this does not stop us from saying, and from the Rambam to say, that the kelim are still part of the structure of the Beis Hamikdash. Shaharei, and he brings an example and a proof for this. You have on different instances where you have one that doesn't uphold the other, they're not dependent on each other, but still it's considered to be a part, it's not an independent mitzvah. What's the example for this? Like when it comes to the mitzvah of tzitzis, there's the mitzvah of the strings, of the tzitzis that you place in the four corners, and then there's the other detail of the mitzvah that you have to color them, that they should be tcheles. She'ena ma'akfim says that. These are two parts of a mitzvah that are not dependent on each other. You can fulfill one without the other, like Bizman Hazeh, when we don't have the tcheles, and we still have the fulfillment of the mitzvah with putting on the strings of the tzitzis. V'chol echad mehem, but nevertheless, although they don't uphold one another, they can be done independently, but each one of them, hu chelek mi mitzvah tzitzis, is all part of one and the same mitzvah, which is the mitzvah of tzitzis. We don't count the mitzvah to put the white strings and the mitzvah to put the tcheles as two separate mitzvahs. So the same is also over here with the Beis HaMikdash and the kelim in the Beis HaMikdash. Although it's true that you could be makriv the carbon without the kelim there, it's not ma'akiv, but nevertheless, even if it's not ma'akiv, the kelim and the Beis HaMikdash could be considered to be one mitzvah. So now the Rebbe analyzes this answer. There's something here missing in this explanation. All of this is the question that was already asked on the Megillas Esther's pshat. The proof that he brings from the case of Tcheles and Lavan being both part of one mitzvah, although they could be fulfilled independently, is not a proof for our case. The Rambam himself writes in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, where the Rambam gives the rules of how to count mitzvahs. So regarding Tcheles and Lavan, the Rambam writes, when it comes to parts of a mitzvah that are not mark of one another, you could do one part without doing the other part. The first thought that you would have, which is the correct idea, that each part should be counted as a separate mitzvah because each one could be done independently. The same should also be regarding Lavan and Tcheles, that we fulfill the mitzvah of the white strings without the Tcheles, so the Tcheles is a separate mitzvah and the Lavan is a separate mitzvah. Lule, then the Rambam clarifies and the Rebbe emphasizes, Lule mashemitzonu lehem loshem mavur. Unless the fact over here we clearly find in the lashon of the pasuk that the Torah clarified that it's one mitzvah. After it says the mitzvah to have the strings and to add the tcheles, the Torah then says, and this is what the mitzvah of tzitzis is, mitzvah achas. So that the Torah is clarifying that here it is one mitzvah. So over here what we see is that although the Lavan and the tcheles do not prevent one another, they can be done independently, but nevertheless, here the Torah clarifies that it is one mitzvah. So it's possible that even when the not ma'akiv says it should be one mitzvah, but it's only because the Torah establishes that clearly over here with saying v'hoya lechem letzitzis. So now the Rebbe says, V'im kain, nidin abayis v'akelim shaloi nimtzu l'shem uvuer. Getting back over here to the discussion regarding the structure of the Beis HaMikdash itself and the kelim that are inside of the Beis HaMikdash. There's no clear lashon in the pasuk anywhere where it says that this is one cheftzeh, that this is one mitzvah. The chalukim zemizeh, the kelim of the Beis HaMikdash and the structure of the Beis HaMikdash are separate from each other. Shalei be'erech hachiluk, the chutit cheles v'laman. The difference is much more than the strings and the color blue that you're supposed to paint the strings. Over there, the tcheles is in the strings itself. Over here, you have two different objects. You have the structure of the Beis HaMikdash, and you have the actual kelim. They're much more separated from each other than tcheles and the lavan. Tzorech loymar, or tzorech liyis, that is, shtei mitzvahs. So it would make sense to say that there are two mitzvahs, me'achar she'ein makvin zeh. Since we always follow the rule that one mitzvah that's not ma'akev the other mitzvah, or two parts of a mitzvah that are not ma'akev each other, are really to be counted as two separate mitzvahs. So the answer of the Megillas Esther needs further clarification. So now the Rebbe continues and says, there's a different approach to this whole Rambam here. Zel v'fiyah shitta b'das Rambam. This is all following the approach in the Rambam, sha'bayis v'akelim eino makvin zeh. That the structure of the Beis HaMikdash and the kelim that are inside it do not uphold one another, and you can bring the karbanis without having the kelim in it. So that's the premise of the Ramban's question: why should it be counted as one mitzvah? However, there are other commentaries that explain, and this is the Lev Sameach, which is also here in the Sefer HaMitzvahs and the Rambam, the Harambam Sfirulei, that the Rambam's opinion is shekli mikdash elu. They are a part of the Beis HaMikdash itself, and they must be there, and you cannot bring the karbanis without them being there. It is ma'akev, unlike what the Rambam said before. Shebel Adam lo yikare Mikdash, without their presence in the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is incomplete, and it's not called a Mikdash. They complete the structure and the name and the existence of the Mikdash. V'hei ma'akvin miliyas makrivin by. And you cannot be marked with the karbanis without the presence of the kelim there. So if that's the Rambam's opinion, he argues on the entire premise of the Ramban's question. This is another approach to the Rambam. Yeshai sipul avayer. Other take this a step further. This is the pshat that the Rogatchover says in the Rambam. Sheshoyrish machlekusim shal Rambam v'Ramban. The source of the machlekes of the Rambam and the Ramban, whether you bring karbanis even when there are no kelim there, as the Ramban argues. Or as the Rambam says, you must have the kelim in the Beis HaMikdash in order to be able to bring karbanis. He plucked us at Tanoim b'Masechta Shkolim. This is really already a machlekes of Tanoim in a braise that's brought in the Yerushalmi in Masechta Shkolim. What does it say here? Hashulchan, v'hameneire, v'hamizbechais, v'haperoichais, ma'akfin es ha-karbanis. To have all of these kelim in the Beis HaMikdash, they do prevent you, if you don't have them, from bringing the karbanis. You must have the kelim in the Beis HaMikdash to bring the karbanis. Divrei Rab Meir. The only thing that will stop you from bringing the carbon is ela hakir v'akan bulvad. Only having the kir there for the kohanim to wash their hands. That's the only kelim that's ma'akir. This is one interpretation of one girsa there in the Yerushalmi. There's another girsa there, but it's not negei now over here by Arichas for the Sicha. But the point is, Chachamim say that the kelim are not ma'akiv. You can bring the karbanis in the Beis HaMikdash without the kelim being there. So what do we see here? There's an argument about this between the Rabbanon and Rab Meir. When you're ma'akiv the karbanis in the Beis HaMikdash, does the Beis HaMikdash need the kelim in order for you to be able to bring the karbanis? Or no, you can bring the karbanis without the kelim there. There's no condition that you have to have the kelim for the karbanis. So this is a clear machlekes here. Hainu, meaning Rambam Svirelei Rab Meir. So the Rambam follows the opinion of Rab Meir, Sha'kelim aktin as a carbon, that you have to have the vessels, the kelim in the Beis HaMikdash, in order to be able to bring the carbon. So, therefore the Rambam says, all of the kelim are parts of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash. Shuhu keilo habayis va'kelim kechad. The structure of the Beis HaMikdash includes the physical structure of the Beis HaMikdash itself, and the kelim as well, which are necessary to be there for the karbanis. On the other hand, the Ramban's opinion follows the Chachamim she'ena kelim akvin, The kelim don't stop you. If the kelim are not there, you still are able to bring the karbanis. And therefore the Ramban concludes, she'ena kelim chelik min habatim. The kelim is not part of the structure of the Beis Mikdash itself. V'haraya, you can bring the karbanis without the kelim being there. This is the Rogat Shabbos pshat. Omnam the Rebbe says, Gamba zeh kosher. Here, this pshat in the Rambam is also difficult to accept. Aleph number 1. Shaharambam yifslik Rab Meir shehu das yichidah. The premise over here, according to the Rogat Shavar, is that the Rambam is following the opinion of Rab Meir, which is one single person. The Chachamim pliga alav, and the Chachamim argue on him. Why would the Rambam accept and paskin like Rab Meir's opinion if the Chachamim that are the majority disagree with him? Beis, the main question is ve'ikir Rambam Posak. The Rambam himself clearly says in Hilchas Beis Achida, Shemakrivin akarbonis kulon afapi she'ein sham bayis boni. You could bring karbonis in the place of the Beis Hamikdash if there's no kelim there, and if there's no Beis Hamikdash at all there. The kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash remains in that place forever, and you could bring karbonis there without the kelim and without the Beis Hamikdash. Umikivin she'ein bayis boni. If there's no Beis Hamikdash there, haregama kelim einam al mekayim b'mikdash. So definitely the kelim are not present in their proper place where they're supposed to be in the Beis Hamikdash. Umochach. So if that's what the Rambam holds, we must say that you must have the vessels in place in order to be able to bring the karbanis, like the opinion of Rab Meir. It's clear that the Rambam is not following Rab Meir's opinion. So there's no way to say that the basis of the Rambam, that he considers the structure of the Beis Hamikdash and the kelim as one, is based on Rab Meir's opinion. The Rambam clearly holds you can bring karbanis even if there's no Beis Hamikdash or kelim there at all. So we still are trying to figure out what is the basis of the Rambam's opinion that he counts it all as one mitzvah, the structure of the Beis Hamikdash and the kelim. The Rabbi continues and first asks another question on the Ramban's opinion. Another thing we have to understand here, in the beginning of this week's parsha, the Ramban says as follows: the Ramban comes to explain why is it that the mitzvah to build the Aron, it comes first before all the rest of the kelim of the Mishkan or the Beis Hamikdash. What does that teach us? The reason is Iker HaChayfetz b'Mishkan. The main desire of Hashem in the Mishkan, Hu Makayim Menuchas HaShchina, is the place where the Shechina dwells, Shuhu Ha'aron, which is the place where the Aron is. K'maisha Amar, as the pasuk says, V'noyadati l'chasham, and I will meet you there, V'dibarti itcha me'al ha'kapeiros, and Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I will speak with you there from above the kapeiros. So that is the place where the Shechina dwells. That's the place where the Shechina communicates with Moshe Rabbeinu. Al-Kain, Hiktim, Ha'aron v'Akapeiros B'kan. Therefore it places first the mitzvah of the Aron here before all the other psukim, Ki hu muktam b'mayla, because it's on a higher level than the rest of the kelim in the Mishkan. This is what the Ramban says in this week's parsha regarding the Aron. Then, and move on, now based on these words of the Ramban's own opinion needs a further clarification. Eich kosav Ramban b'sefer ha-mitzvahs. How could the Ramban say sha'asiyas ha'aron chulu, that the building of the Aron itself, timne mitzvah b'fnei atzma, is counted as a separate mitzvah, as we quoted before. Ve'eina nechleles b'mitzvahs being Beis Hamikdash, and it's not included in the mitzvah to build the structure of the Beis Hamikdash itself. Haloi lefidaitoi ha'aron hu ikar ha'chayvetz b'binyanai. The Ramban says that what is the Aron? The whole purpose of the Beis Hamikdash is the Aron. So if the mitzvah of the Beis Hamikdash is for the Aron, so when you build the Aron, you're fulfilling and you're completing the main purpose of the building of the Beis Hamikdash itself. So how could you count the Aron, building it as a separate vessel, as if this is something, just one item in the Beis Hamikdash, as a separate mitzvah? It's not one item in the Beis Hamikdash. The whole purpose of the entire structure is to make possible that the Shechina should dwell in the place of the Aron. So that's everything. It should be part of the main mitzvah of building the Beis Hamikdash. So here in Sif Daled, the Rebbe will begin with explaining the Rambam and the Ramban based on a Mishnah in the end of Masechta Midas, where there are two ways how to learn that Mishnah. And based on that Mishnah, the Rebbe will come back to explain the questions and the differing approaches between the Rambam and the Ramban. Yuvan Kolzeh, so to understand these two opinions, Bahaktim, Levayir, the Siyum, the Masechta Midas, to explain the Mishnah and the Siyum of Midas. Shemesechta Zu, Teichna, what is the content of this Masechta? Midas HaMikdash v'tzurasai u'binyanai v'chol inyanai. It talks about all the details of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash, the details of the shape of everything, and all of the details that matter to the structure of the Beis HaMikdash. So there in the last Mishnah it says as follows. Lishkas HaGazes, there was a room called Lishkas HaGazes, which was in the Azara. Sham Haisa Sanhedrin Gedolah Yisrael Yeshevas. The Sanhedrin Gedolah sat over there. V'dona Sakohuna, and they would go and inspect all the Kohanim to make sure that they're qualified to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. The Kohen Shalenimtza by Psul, and any Kohen that was being inspected and it wasn't found to be disqualified, Leivish Levanim, he would dress in white clothing, or Misatif Levanim, and he would wrap himself in white clothing, Nichnas u'Mishamish Echav HaKohanim, and he would enter into the Beis HaMikdash to serve together with his brothers, the Kohanim, the Yom Tov HaYoisim, and then he would make a feast, a meal, Shalenimtza Psul B'Zarish Al-Adam, that there was no psul, no disqualification found in him, a descendant of Adam. And then they would thank the Eibishter at this meal, and they would say as follows: Baruch HaMokoim Baruch Hu, benched is Hashem, benched He is. Shalenimtza Psul B'Zarish Al-Adam, that no disqualification was found in a descendant of Adam. Baruch Hu Shebacha Ba'Aaron U'B'Banav, blessed is Hashem that has chosen Aaron and his children, Lamed L'Sharis Ofnei Hashem, to stand and serve in front of Hashem, B'Beis Kodesh HaKodashim, in the house, in the Kodesh HaKodashim. This is the conclusion of Masechta Midas. So there are a few questions here. Aleph, number one, the order of the two brachas that they benched the Eibishter. Amrei Tchila, first thing that they said was, Baruch HaMakin Chulu Shalenimtzu Psul B'Zarish Al-Adam, thanking Hashem that no psul was found. V'achakach, and only afterwards, Baruch Hu Shebacha Ba'Aaron U'Vanov, thanking Hashem for choosing Aaron and his children to serve in the Beis HaMikdash B'chlal. Logically it would make sense that the order of the brachas should be the opposite. Kiven sha'shvach v'haprat, the praise and the detail. That there's no disqualification in any of the descendants of Aaron, and this descendant, shayachu, that's only possible after the Eibishter chooses, and you have this chus to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. That's the first thing, the choice that the Eibishter designated the Kohanim to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. B'chlal, that's the first thing to thank Hashem for. Afterwards comes to thank Hashem that now, when he was inspected, a psul was not found in him. So the order of the brachas seemed to be out of order. Beis, another question is, b'bracha shniya, when it comes to the second bracha, shebacha ba'Aaron b'banav lamed l'sharas chol b'beis Kodesh HaKodashim, that Hashem chose Aaron and his children to serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim, ain't a move on. The fact that it says a Kodesh HaKodashim is not understood. Shaharei zeh ha'aveda the Kohen Gadol. To serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim is not an aveda for every Kohen, it's only for the Kohen Gadol. V'rak pa'machas b'shana b'yom kippurim, once a year on Yom Kippur. U'b'chiras Aaron u'banav lamed l'sharis b'kuhuna harei zeh l'chol avedas ha'kohenim. Over here we're thanking Hashem for choosing Kohanim to serve in the Beis HaMikdash, including all the Avedas that are done in the Beis HaMikdash. B'HaMikdash kulai, u'b'meshach kol hashana kula. All the other Avedas done in all of the Beis HaMikdash and during the entire year. So why don't we include in this bracha to thank Hashem for the Aveda that's done by all the Kohanim all year round? So this second question that Rebbe asks here is addressed by the Mefarshim. So let's see first the Rebbe brings from the Marsha. Hinei b'chidush HaKodashim kosav, the chidush HaKodashim of the Marsha says, v'oimrin Baruch HaMakoim Baruch Hu Shalenimtza Psul B'Zarei Chulu, the bracha that you make, that there was no disqualification found, Liyos Kohen Hedyet. That's a bracha that refers to the Kohen Hedyet. Ubaruch Shebacha Ba'Aaron U'Banav, and then the second bracha, that Hashem chose Aaron and his children, Sheheim Nifcharim B'Yosef. This refers to those amongst Kohanim that stand out and were chosen even more, Gam Mitoch HaKohanim, Liyos Nichnasim L'Sharis B'Beis Kodesh HaKodashim B'Yom Kippurim, to enter into the Kodesh HaKodashim and serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim on Yom Kippur, V'hainu Aaron U'Banav. So this is Aaron and his children. So the Marsha actually seems to be answering both questions here. The order of the bracha is first to thank Hashem for the choosing the kain and b'chlal, even a kain hedyet. The second bracha is specifically referring to the fact that Hashem chose Aaron to be a kain gadol and his descendants later to be a kain gadol and have the opportunity to serve him even in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So Kodesh HaKodashim doesn't refer to all kainim. It refers to the kainim, gedolim, that serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim. But the Rebbe doesn't accept his teretz because there's still something that's not understood here. Ulam lefi daitoi gan kein tamua. Even according to this pshat, the question still remains. Levad zeh shadayin yukshe kanal. Besides what we mentioned before, that the question still remains. Lama shalalu stam kainim levarach al b'chirasam. Why are we negating? Why aren't we including the kainim, stam kainim, a kain hedyet, to also thank Hashem for the fact that they were chosen? If it's true that the first bracha is talking about a kain hedyet that could do his aved in the Beis Hamikdash, all that's mentioned in the first bracha was that a psul wasn't found in him. But there's no bracha that a kain thanks Hashem for the very fact that he was chosen to be a kain to serve the Beis Hamikdash. And the Rebbe adds in the parentheses, l'cholam ba'bracha de kain gadol, whether to include this detail that Hashem chose kainim in general in the second bracha where we thank Hashem for choosing a kain gadol. So you could begin, Hashem chose all kainim, and then even more, he chose a kain gadol. Or perhaps to make a third bracha, a special bracha that the Eibusha chose, a kain to serve in the Beis Hamikdash. Besides the fact that we're thanking Hashem that there was no psul found in the kain. There's another question that we could ask on the other hand. Just as there is a bracha thanking Hashem that there was no disqualification found in a kain, and hainu b'negei kain hedyet, according to the Marsha's interpretation, the first bracha talks only about a kain hedyet. Kamay kain, so too l'chayra oyyos, and even more so, hayitzarich liyos b'bracha b'teichen zeh b'negei l'Aaron l'kain gadol. We should also thank Hashem regarding Aaron and regarding the kain gadol in that generation, that he could continue serving the Beis Hamikdash, and no psul was found in him. B'bracha achas, whether to include that all in one bracha, or like the Rebbe said before, we can maybe institute a separate bracha for that. The point that the Rebbe is asking in the Mashal's pshat is to say that the first bracha is talking about a kain hedyet and the second bracha is talking about a kain gadol is insufficient, because if the first bracha is coming to thank Hashem regarding a kain hedyet, and the second bracha is coming to thank Hashem regarding a kain gadol, so why the change in the nusach of the bracha? Why in the first bracha are we talking about the fact that there was no psul found, and we're not thanking Hashem for being chosen to be a kain hedyet, and in the second bracha we're only thanking Hashem for being chosen and not thanking Hashem for no psul being found by a kain gadol? So there has to be something else going on between these two brachas. The Rebbe now brings another pshat, yesh mefarshim. There are others that say, and this is the gra as it's pointed here in the Ha'arim, ma shekosav kam bebeis Kodesh HaKodashim, the conclusion of the bracha, where it mentions the Kodesh HaKodashim, hakavana lebeis hamikdash b'chlolei. It's not actually referring to the Kodesh HaKodashim, it's referring to the Beis Hamikdash in general. Shuhu kodesh legabi shar mekaymes hamikdashim. The Beis Hamikdash is holier than other places that are also holy. V'haloshin kan, the expression of Kodesh HaKodashim here does not refer to the place known as the Kodesh HaKodashim of the Beis Hamikdash. Rather, Shayich v'kosher l'Masechta Kelim v'Perek Aleph. It's connected and it's based on the expression of Kodesh HaKodashim that's used in a Mishnah in Masechta Kelim. As the Kedusha is saying, there the Mishnah counts 10 different levels of Kedusha. And then it continues there, Eretz Yisrael Mukadeshes Mikol Aratzis. Eretz Yisrael is holier than the rest of the lands of the world. And then Ayoris Mukafis Chayma, the land surrounded with a wall, and then Yerushalayim, going further and further. So we see that there are various levels of Kedusha. So in the Mekivin Shebeis Hamikdash Mekudesh Mikulam. So therefore, since the Beis Hamikdash is holier than all of the ones that I mentioned before it, L'chein Hu Nikra Kan Kodesh HaKodashim. So the Beis Hamikdash here is referred to with this title of Kodesh HaKodashim, HaKodesh Sheba Kodashim, a holy place amongst other places that are holy. But it doesn't refer to the actual Kodesh HaKodashim, it refers to the Aveda of the Kainim in the Beis Hamikdash in general. Avol, Apirish, Sarachi, and Gadol, the Rebbe says it's very difficult to accept this pshat. Nois of Lazesh of Mesech Kelim Atzma. Kochoshev Kama Miles Bikdushas Abeis of Mikdash Atzmai, Verak Echad Mem Nikrisham Kodesh HaKodashim. There in Mesech Kelim itself, it counts all the different levels of holiness. And it comes to the final level, the highest place of Kedusha, which is called Kodesh HaKodashim, which is actually the Kodesh HaKodashim in the Beis HaMikdash. So the source the Gra brings from Mesech Kelim, there itself, it only refers to the Kodesh HaKodashim as the Kodesh HaKodashim. But besides that, if you take a look here in this Masechta, which we're discussing, the conclusion of Masechta Midas, Husker Kodesh HaKodashim, the term Kodesh HaKodashim is mentioned, Le'inyan Midasai v'chulu, regarding the size of the Kodesh HaKodashim, V'akavana the Kodesh HaKodashim mamish. And when Kodesh HaKodashim is mentioned, it's talking about the Kodesh HaKodashim literally. The Gam Mefurish, and it says earlier there, Bein HaKodesh lebein Kodesh HaKodashim. It says the expression between the Kodesh and Kodesh HaKodashim, the difference between the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKodashim. It uses the expression Kodesh HaKodashim. The Eichi Tochen Loimar, so how could you say, Shapirish HaKodesh HaKodashim Yishtane, the Siyam HaMasechta HaMefurish Kama Pamel Minei. In the entire Masechta, Kodesh HaKodashim is mentioned a few times, and it means the Kodesh HaKodashim, literally. All of a sudden, at the end of the Masechta, the term Kodesh HaKodashim refers to the Beis HaMikdash in general, based on an expression in Masechta Kelim. How does that make sense? The Rebbe adds, Avshe b'deichik yesh loymar, the shani hacha, the nema b'beis Kodesh HaKodashim. But deichik, you could say that there's another word added here that indicates that this is different because it says Beis Kodesh HaKodashim. So perhaps it refers to the entire Beis HaMikdash. But the Rebbe says it's a deichik. The Rebbe does not accept this pshat, and the Rebbe will give a new pshat in the Sinyan. So to explain all of this, and here the Rebbe will get back first to explain the difference between the Rambam and the Ramban, and then show how the Rambam and the Ramban's opinion is based on how they have a differing approach and how to explain this hadron over here, this conclusion of Masechta Midas. But first, let's understand the essence of their opinions. In Yonam v'tachlisam shalam mishkan u'beis hamikdash hem shnei dvarim kololiyim. There are two general things when you talk about the Beis HaMikdash as far as their purpose. What are they? What is it all about? Aleph, number one, B'loshen Rambana now. As we quoted earlier, that the Ramban says, Bayis mekudesh l'shmai b'shom chulu yitzaves b'nei Yisrael chulu. This is a place, it's a holy house, a holy edifice for the Eibishter. L'chein gam ikar ha'chefetz. Since it's a place that's holy, designated for Hashem's name, so therefore the main desire in the Beis HaMikdash hu ha'aron shemisham diber. It's the aron where the main presence of the Shechina is, and that's where Hashem communicates with Yidden. Menuchas v'ashras ha'Shechina shayisabem. The dwelling and the Eibishter resting over there in the building of the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, Moshe Messiah by Pasuk, and as the Pasuk says, Shemimeno lomad harambam, a mitzvah saseh lived in Beis HaBechira, which the Rambam brings as the source. V'Oster Mikdash v'shachanti b'soichem. That the Eibishter will dwell amongst you in the Beis HaMikdash. There's another pasuk where it clearly says this regarding the Beis HaMikdash. Zois munuchasi adayad poi eshev ki yivisiya. This is my dwelling. This is the way I rest amongst you, and this is where I desire to be. The iker menuchas v'ashras hashchina obekach HaKodashim. The main place where Hashem's dwelling is more than the rest of the Beis HaMikdash is in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So that's one point of the Beis HaMikdash, the place where the Eibishter dwells amongst Yidden. The second point is the Beis HaMikdash is the place where we serve Hashem. All the Avedas that were done in the Beis HaMikdash. More than any other Aveda, primarily it's the Aveda Karbanis. And to come to the Beis HaMikdash 3 times a year on Yontiv, as the Rambam brings right in the beginning in Hilchas Beis HaBechira. Now the Rebbe says, so these 2 points, the dwelling of Hashem in the Beis HaMikdash, and then the Aveda that you didn't do in the Beis HaMikdash, ubezeh hi machlokes Rambam v'haramban. So here is the essence of the machlokes of the Rambam and the Ramban. Mi mishnei eila hu ha'ikir b'tzivya kadosh baruch hu livnais Beis HaMikdash. Which of these two is the main definition of the mitzvah that Hashem gives Yidden to build the Beis HaMikdash? Umachlokasam Umi machlakoisam zu nevas pluktasam anal benegel atzivui ala siyas hakelim beis hamikdash. Once you'll understand the essence of their opinion of what the mitzvah of to build a beis hamikdash is, we could understand and appreciate why they argue whether the kelim is part of the building of the mitzvah to build a beis hamikdash or it's not part of the building of the beis hamikdash. So the Rebbe will explain, but before I continue reading inside, let me just explain. First the Rebbe will explain the opinion of the Rambam, and then the Rebbe will come back to explain the opinion of the Rambam. But just a short introduction, the Rebbe explains the opinion of the Rambam based on what we learned earlier in Siv Beis, when the Rebbe explained the problem with the Rambam's Shittah. We can really see that the Rambam's Shittah is a bit nuanced. Because on one hand, the Rambam holds that the Kelim are part of the binyan of the Beis HaMikdash. It's counted as one mitzvah. Yet at the same time, the Rebbe pointed out that according to the Rambam, you could be makriv karbonis without the Beis HaMikdash there and without any of the Kelim. And the Rambam does not follow the opinion of Rav Meir that you must have the Kelim in place for the hakrav of the karbonis. So on one hand, the Rambam holds that the Kelim and the Beis HaMikdash is all one thing. On the other hand, though, the Rambam makes it clear that the Kelim don't have to be there for the Beis HaMikdash. So we can't say, as the Rebbe pointed out earlier, that the reason why the Beis HaMikdash and the Kelim are one because we must have them there for the karbonis. So it's not true. So these are two sort of opposite details in the opinion of the Rambam, which the Rebbe will now explain. Das Rambam. So first the general approach, and then we'll see the details. But generally, L'das Rambam tachlis hamochovim b'binyan hamikdashu b'shvil hakrif by karbonis. The purpose of the building of the Beis HaMikdash is to bring karbonis. Shekailo kol avedis hakainim. It includes all other avedis as well, but sheikram avedis hakarbonis. Primarily, it's the aved of karbonis. Now here the Rambam is very precise in the wording that he uses. B'sifrei shu sefer Piskei Halachis, in the sefer of Piskei Halachis, in the sefer Hayad, mitzvah sasei lasais bayis lashem muchon liyos makrivim by karbonis. Make a home, build a place that should be prepared, that should be available to bring karbonis in it. That's the expression of the Rambam, muchon. That the very building itself is a place that you prepare and build that it should be available for karbonis. Lahadgish, what is the Rambam emphasizing with this? She'ein atzivui mugder umugbul livnes bayis. The command to build a Beis HaMikdash is not defined and limited just by the fact that you're building a place, you're building a structure of a Beis HaMikdash. Ki'im lases bayis lashem muchan, to create a place which is available for the karbonis. Liyas makrivim by our karbonis. Hainu, in other words, shem eina bayis muchan liyas makrivim by. So if you build a beautiful structure, but it's not a place which is prepared for the karbonis, you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah of Vasil Mikdash. The very mitzvah is preparing a place for karbonis, with all of the details necessary to have that place for karbonis. So this simply explains in the language of the Rambam, all of these kelim that were just mentioned, they are all part of the very mitzvah to build the Beis HaMikdash. Hainu, shebitzivui al asiyas klei HaMikdash, when the Eibishter commands to build the Beis HaMikdash and to build the kelim of the Mikdash, harehu mitzvah al chelkei HaMikdash. Hashem is commanding to add those parts of the building of the Beis HaMikdash itself. All of these kelim are part of the building of the Beis HaMikdash itself. How does this place become mucham, prepared for karbonis? When you have the kelim where the aveda will be done, the menorah and the shulchan and the mizbeach. Kibar karbonis, as the Rebbe mentioned before, when it says karbonis, nichlolos kol aveda sheva Beis HaMikdash. It includes all of the avedas, hadlokas, vatovas, haneres, lighting and preparing the neres, arichas lechem aponim, and also the lechem aponim, and of course, primarily all the karbonis. This is what the very command of building the Beis HaMikdash is. Hashem says, build for me a place that's prepared for the karbonis. That is what this building is. However, here comes the point though. The lashon of the Rambam is that this is the definition, the gather of the very existence of this structure. You're building a structure that's there available for karbanis. So that defines the structure that you're building. Okay? And therefore, this is the mitzvah l'chatchila when you come to build a place that will be fully available and necessary, whatever is necessary for the karbanis. And therefore, the kalim are part of that very mitzvah. So this answers the question that the Rebbe asked before, why is the Megillas Esther comparing this to the Tcheles and the Lavan, where over there the Torah explicitly says that it's one mitzvah. Over here, the Kalim and the Beis HaMikdash are two separate objects, two separate things. Why should we say that it's one mitzvah? Why did the Megillas Esther compare it to Tcheles and Lavan? The answer is because the whole point of the mitzvah is, the gather of the mitzvah is, a place available for karbanis. That's the essence of the mitzvah. So therefore, that includes the kalim. The kalim is part of making it available. Without the kalim, it's not available. That is what the whole Beis HaMikdash is about. However, now the Rebbe says, that's only as far as the actual mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash. Since the point is that the building is a place available for karbanis, that includes the kalim. How about when it comes to the actual akrava of karbanis, when you have to come and be makriv of the karbanis? Is that ma'akiv? Is there a din regarding karbanis that the only way to be makriv karbanis is if you have those kalim, all those kalim there in place? The shulchan, the mizbeh, the menorah, and so on, everything has to be in place in order to be makriv the karbanis? Not necessarily. One is not dependent on the other. The fact that the very building of the Beis HaMikdash is about being muchan for karbanis. Muchan means it's a definition regarding the edifice itself. It should be available. And therefore, in order for it to be available, the extension of that is all the kalim. But later, when it comes to actually being makriv karbanis, is there a din regarding the karbanis that the kalim are ma'akiv to be makriv the karbanis? No, not necessarily. So the Rebbe continues. Once that mitzvah is done, and you prepare the house with all of the details to make it available, then, even after the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, makrivin karbanis, you still could be makriv karbanis without the Beis HaMikdash or the kalim there. Even if the bayis and the kalim is not there. And in the ha'ara the Rebbe adds, even before the churban, if any of the kalim are not in place, there's no din regarding the karbanis that you can't be makriv a karban unless the kalim are in place. It's a din regarding the mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash, that the kalim is part of it, because the kalim is part of making it available for the karbanis. But as far as the actual hakravas carbon later, there is no din regarding the carbon that it has to have the kalim there. Besides the mizbeach, though, the Rebbe does explain in the ha'ara, besides the mizbeach itself that you have to have for the carbon. Ki eina kalim v'habayis mitzad atzmo ma'akvenas ha-karbonis. The kalim is not an ikuv in the halacha of bringing a carbon that you must have the kalim there for the carbon. So this is the Rambam's shitta. Now the Rebbe goes to the Ramban's shitta. Omnon l'das Ramban. On the other hand, the opinion of the Ramban. So over here as well, when it came to the Ramban, the Rebbe pointed out earlier that on one hand the Ramban holds that the whole point of the building of the Beis HaMikdash is that the Eibusher should dwell amongst Yidden. Right? As the Rebbe is about to explain here as well. But at the same time, though, the Rambam holds that the Orain is a separate mitzvah. Although the Orain is the primary place where Hashem's presence is, more than the entire Beis HaMikdash, and that's the main chayfetz, as the Rambam says. That's the main purpose. So why would the Orain be a separate mitzvah? So on one hand, the Rambam holds the whole point of the mitzvah is the dwelling of Hashem. That would lead us to the conclusion that the Orain is part of it and it's not separate. At the same time, the Rambam holds that the Orain is separate. So what's going on here? So the Rebbe explains, according to the Ramban's opinion, the main point of the mitzvah, the main desire of the Eibusher in the mitzvah to build the Beis HaMikdash, lias makom mukdash l'shmai chulu, to build a place that will be dedicated to the Eibusher's name, misham yedaber, and there's where the Eibusher speaks, the Eibusher communicates, val pizeh hatzivid v'asel mikdash v'shachanti b'soichem. When it says, build for me a mikdash, and I will dwell amongst you, lekoi ela alabayis atzmoi, livnois mishkan lashroas hashchina. This does not include only the Beis HaMikdash itself, to build a place where Hashem dwells. The Beis HaMikdash is the place where He dwells. It doesn't include all the other kalim which are used for the various avodas done in the Beis HaMikdash. Ki ikram le'inyan karbonis ha'aveda shebimishkan. All of those kelim are for the aveda that's done in the Beis HaMikdash. But they're not the very dwelling of Hashem, which is in the Beis HaMikdash itself. The reason why those kelim are not counted as a separate mitzvah, the Rambam has to give a different reason. Because the kelim are only there preparing and making it possible to be able to do the avodas of lighting the menorah, putting the lechem upon on the shulchan, and the karbanis on the mizbeach. So there are details in the mitzvah of doing the avodah. But not because they're details part of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash. The point of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash is to make a place to bring the Shekhinah down into the Beis HaMikdash. And that you accomplish by building the structure of the Beis HaMikdash itself. And the kelim are not necessary for that. So that explains why the Ramban argued with the Rambam. However, the Ramban still holds that there are two mitzvahs here. The building of the Beis HaMikdash in general, and then the building of the Aron, which is the main menucha of the Shekhinah in the Aron. What's the pshat in this? Why is it a separate mitzvah if that's the whole mitzvah that the Eibusha dwells in the Beis HaMikdash? So what the Rebbe just really said over here is, it's not only that according to the Ramban, the purpose of building the Beis HaMikdash is that the Shekhinah will come into the Beis HaMikdash. That's the objective of building the Beis HaMikdash. The Rambam may agree to that too. That when you build the Beis HaMikdash, the result which will happen is that it's going to bring the Shekhinah into the Beis HaMikdash. The Chiddush of the Ramban is, that is the very mitzvah itself. The mitzvah is to build a place to draw the Shekhinah into that place. That's the very mitzvah. The Rambam's opinion is, build a place, prepare to serve Hashem in it. The Ramban's opinion is, the very mitzvah is to build a place to draw the Shekhinah into it. In other words, not only that's going to happen, that's the objective that the Shekhinah is going to come. That's the definition of the very mitzvah itself, to build a place to draw the Shekhinah. If so, the Rebbe will now explain, we could distinguish between the entire Beis HaMikdash and the Aron. Therefore, gam asiyas Aron v'akapoires losum shoma eidos timne mitzvah b'fnei atzma. So now we understand why the Ramban holds that building the Aron and the kapoires and placing it there and placing the eidos inside and putting it in the Kodesh HaKodashim, that's a separate mitzvah. Ki eina Aron hechsher mitzvah cheres ki menorah v'mizbeach v'shulchan. Number one, as the Rambam points out, it's not part of any other Aveda that's done with this Keli, because there is no Aveda that's done with this Keli of the Aron. So therefore it's not part of anything else. There's a separate special mitzvah. It's not part of the general mitzvah to prepare a place to draw the Shekhinah down into that place. The Aron and the Kodesh HaKodashim, that's a step above. That's a higher level of Shekhinah. That's not the presence that we draw down in the rest of the Beis HaMikdash. That's the pshat of Ikar HaChayfetz over here. As the Rebbe points out in the Ha'ara, the Lashon of the Ramban, Muktim b'Maila. It's a higher level. Avol gam b'lavachi. Even before you get to the Aron, Hareze Bais L'Kodesh. The rest of the Beis HaMikdash that you built, what is the essence of the mitzvah according to the Ramban? I'm building the Beis HaMikdash, I'm building a place, and I'm drawing the Shekhinah into it. So the entire Beis HaMikdash that you're building is a place that you're drawing the Shekhinah into, even before you get to the Aron. So that right there is a mitzvah. Then the Aron is a higher level of Shekhinah that you're drawing into the Aron, so therefore that's another mitzvah. If the Ramban's opinion was just the fact that the objective of building the Beis HaMikdash, the purpose is that we're going to draw the Shekhinah into it, so the main place where the Shekhinah's presence is in the Aron. So therefore, there's one point just in the Aron. It can't be counted as two separate mitzvahs. But it's not only that the purpose is to bring down the Shekhinah into the Aron. That is the very accomplishment of the mitzvah itself. The action that the Yidden are doing when they build the Beis HaMikdash is they're drawing the Shekhinah down into this edifice. So therefore there's the rest of the Beis HaMikdash where they draw down one level of Shekhinah, and then there's the Aron where they draw down a higher level of Shekhinah, which is a separate mitzvah. So that explains the details here in the Ramban's opinion. So now that we get back to the source of their opinion as it's seen in the Siyum of Masechta Midas. Hine, bekam betvusim ubeike ksav yad shel Masechta Midas In some prints, and in Ksav Yad, and the Rebbe points out in the Ha'ara, this is the Rambam's opinion, as we'll soon see. Shom Masechta Midis. Ein ben B'siyim HaMasechta Brocha Achreina. It does not include, in the end of the Masechta, the last bracha, which is Baruch Shebacha Ba'aron B'banav Lamed L'Sharas L'fnei Hashem V'beis Kodesh HaKodashim. That bracha, to thank Hashem for choosing Aaron and to serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim, is not mentioned. The Siyuma Shal Mishnah and the conclusion of the Mishnah is with the previous bracha. Hu b'bircha is Baruch HaMokim Baruchu Shal Nimtza Psul B'Zarish Shal Aaron, and that's where it ends. U'kanira Keni Gersis Rambam. And it seems that this is the opinion of the Rambam, as the Rebbe points in the Ha'ara. So now we have two different gerses here in the conclusion of Masechta Midas. Does it conclude with the Kodesh HaKodashim or not? Based on what we explained before, we can say this as well is the Rambam and the Ramban going according to each their opinion how to learn the conclusion of the end of Masechta Midas. Masechta Midas. What is this Masechta? In Yonah, Rambam, the point of the Masechta is, as the Rambam himself writes, Shu Zoicher Midas HaMikdash V'tzurasai U'binyanoi V'chol Inyanoi. It mentions all the measurements and the shapes and the details of the building of the Beis HaMikdash. V'atayeles sheyesh v'ha'inyan, and the point of learning all of these halachas is when the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt again speedily in our days. Yesh lishmar b'lasis atavnes lahu v'chol. It should be built like the details that are described in this Masechta. So that's what this Masechta is all about. It's about the building, about the structure of the Beis HaMikdash itself. We'll move on, so it's understood. Shebesiyim HaMasechta mevuer ma'i atachlis b'biyah Beis HaMikdash. So at the conclusion of the Masechta, which is discussing the structure of the Beis HaMikdash, it's going to end with the purpose and the gather of the very mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash. L'das Rambam. So therefore, according to the Rambam, Sha'kavana v'achayfetz b'mishkan hu menuchas hashchina. The whole purpose and the mitzvah is to draw the Shechina into the Beis HaMikdash. V'ikrei b'Kodesh HaKodashim. And the higher level of Shechina is in the Kodesh HaKodashim in the Oster. So how do you move on? Shekol ha'avedas ha'nasis b'hamishkan u'mikdash. All the avodas done in any part of the Beis HaMikdash, hu l'tachlis hazeis shetiyeh menuchas hashchina b'Kodesh HaKodashim. It's for this purpose, in order to bring the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim. Everything. All the avodas done in the Beis HaMikdash serve this purpose to bring the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim. In other words, not only the actual building l'chatchila of the Beis HaMikdash, but all the avodas on a day-to-day basis in the Beis HaMikdash is all for this purpose, that through the avodah you bring the presence of the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So Lidigay, according to the Ramban's opinion, Shaper Gasina B'Hamishna, so we do have the version of the Mishnah, Mesayim B'Birchas, and we conclude with this bracha, Baruch Hu Shebacha Ba'arna V'vanav Lamed L'Sharas L'fnei Hashem V'veis Kodesh HaKodashim, concluding and mentioning the Kodesh HaKodashim, Ki Kol HaBinyan V'Asheris, the entire building of the Beis HaMikdash, the mitzvah to build it, and also the service done in the Beis HaMikdash, Tachlison Shetiyeh Menuchas HaShechina Sheikra V'veis Kodesh HaKodashim. The purpose of everything, including all the avodah done as well, is in order to enable to have a place where the Eibishter will dwell in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So even though it mentions Kodesh HaKodashim, that's relevant, and comes through building the entire Beis HaMikdash and all the avodah done in the Beis HaMikdash. Omnam l'das Rambam, however, according to the Rambam, she'ikar ha'machov shel Beis HaMikdash she'yeh bayis muchan liyas makrivim b'arkabonis. That the whole purpose is to have a place that's prepared to do the Avodah, to be Makrav Karbanas, and to come there 3 times a year. This Avodah done in the Beis HaMikdash is all year round. And it's done in all the Beis HaMikdash. The mitzvah, the very mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash, is preparing a place for Avodah. And then you have the Avodah done in the Beis HaMikdash in all parts of the Beis HaMikdash. So if it's going to mention Kodesh HaKodashim in the end of the Masechta, what does that mean? What you're saying is the building of the Beis HaMikdash, which is what Masechta Midas is all about. And what is the building of the Beis HaMikdash? A place available for Avodah, a place where Avodah is done in it. which Avodah are we concluding the whole Masechta with? We're concluding with the Avodah in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Why would we conclude only with the Avodah in the Kodesh HaKodashim, Shipamachas B'Shana, which is only once a year? So therefore, according to Rambam, the Kodesh HaKodashim is not mentioned. However, the Rebbe says this still doesn't fully explain this conclusion of Kodesh HaKodashim. Rambam, the question still remains according to the Rambam. So why do we have to completely erase this entire bracha? According to the Rambam, instead of taking out the entire bracha, say this bracha, thanking the Eibishter for choosing the Kohen to do their Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. But instead of saying Kodesh HaKodashim, you should say Baruch Shebacha Ba'aranu B'Banav Lamed L'Shores B'Beis HaMikdash, to thank the Eibishter for the Avodah done in the entire Beis HaMikdash. Since according to the Rambam, that is what the structure of the Beis HaMikdash is all about, the Avodah in the entire Beis HaMikdash. Even according to the Ramban, it's still not fully understood as well. It also should mention the Beis HaMikdash as well. Even though it's true, the Beis HaMikdash, because of the main desire and the main purpose of this mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash, Shapir Laimar, as we explained before, and you could say Baruch Shebacha Ba'aranu B'Banav Lamed L'Shores B'Beis Kodesh HaKodashim Kanal, as we mentioned before, that everything in the Beis HaMikdash, the building of it, and then the actual avodah in it, is all for the purpose to bring the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim. So the nusach of Kodesh HaKodashim makes sense. However, but the fact is that the majority of the avodah that's done in the Beis HaMikdash, so the specific avodas and all of those other avodas that are done, that the bracha is thanking Hashem for the opportunity to be able to do those avodas, it would make more sense to thank the Eibishter, that the Eibishter chose them, that they're able to do the actual avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. So true, the purpose of all this avodah is to bring the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. But why not also thank the Eibishter for the actual avodah that's done in all the sections of the Beis HaMikdash? Once you say Beis HaMikdash, that includes everything in the Beis HaMikdash. Not only the Beis, it's not excluding the Kodesh HaKodashim, so that would include the Kodesh HaKodashim as well. So we still need a further explanation in the conclusion of this bracha of Kodesh HaKodashim, according to the Rambam. So the Rebbe continues this as well. His Bayer will be explained based on their approaches, their opinions that we mentioned before, regarding their opinion of how they understand what the Mikdash and the Kalim of the Beis HaMikdash are. That approach that they have explains us the pshat right over here. The explanation is as follows. Inyan ha-bracha v'ashvach. So the Rebbe gives a short introduction over here. When you're saying a bracha on something, you choose something to make a bracha on that, and you're praising the Eibishter for this thing. Yitachin, it only makes sense, rak kasher adova she'olav mevarchin u'meshapchin hu inyan miyuchad b'fnei atzmai. That you're choosing to thank Hashem for this, because this is the purpose, this is something special for itself. Avo, loy kasher hu prat ha-muchrech mitzad inyan acher. But if this is a necessary ingredient or a necessary outcome for something else, which is the main thing, so that's not what you make a bracha on. If you have to make a bracha, the place of the bracha is b'negel l'sibbe, you make the bracha for the cause, for the source, for the main purpose, not for the outcome or for the detail that's only serving another purpose. So therefore, now coming back over here to the avodah of the Kohanim in the Beis HaMikdash. Is that something to focus on separately, to make a bracha on, to praise Hashem for this, for doing the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash? Done. So in our case, das Rambam, according to the Rambam's opinion, shal mitzvah say the vasuli mikdash, the mitzvah to build the Beis HaMikdash. In Yonah, what is this mitzvah? Lasa is bias, Hashem muchal niyas makrivim b'yar karbanis v'chulu. The Eibishter says, create a place that will be available for me to serve me here. Just as we said before, that this explains why, according to the Rambam, the Kalim are not counted as a separate mitzvah, because the Kalim are just extending and adding to the building that it's available for karbanis. Mishum shakelim chelek v'klolos hamitzvos hashay. Shal binyan bayis muchan, that it's prepared. Al derech zeh, similarly, ein makim lebracha miyuchedes. There isn't place for a separate designated bracha, a special bracha, al bchiras haKohanim lebeis hamikdash. The fact that the Kohanim are chosen to do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. Mikivin shebichirasam lo ha'avodah hi chelek asiyas hamikdash. The Kohanim that are there to do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, their avodah is part of completing the point and the structure of the building of the Beis Hamikdash itself. Sha'atzivui la'asais bayis l'Hashem muchan liyas makrivim bar karbanos chulu. If you want to have a place that's there, that's available for karbanis, what do you need for it to be available for karbanis? You have to have the structure, you have to have the kelim, and also harei machriach gamkein b'chirasam shel kohanim hamuchanim lahakriv karbanis eil chulu. You also have to have kohanim that are prepared, that are there, ready to do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. That is the other thing, that you need human beings there that make it available now and possible for the avodah to be done. So the bechira of the kohanim, that they're chosen for this avodah and that they're available there to be able to do the avodah, doesn't deserve a separate bracha. It's a necessary detail in the mitzvah of making the Beis Hamikdash, of building it, that it should be available for the karbanis. The Rabbi in the Ha'ara points out that still the kohanim and the fact that there is a mitzvah to be mechaber them and to be mefire them, and the special clothing for the kohanim, that's counted as a separate mitzvah. And the details of their avodah that they actually do, the actual details of what they have to do, is counted as a separate mitzvah. But the general fact, the idea that kohanim were chosen and that they're appointed and they're available to do the avodah, that the Rambam holds is not something that deserves a bracha, that to bench the Eibusher for their bechira. That's a necessary detail in the building of the Beis Hamikdash b'chlal, so you don't make a bracha on a necessary detail that's connected to the general building of the Beis Hamikdash. Similarly, we could understand also according to the Ramban, even though the Ramban Taka holds, as we said before, that the kelim are not part of the building of the Beis Hamikdash itself. What we call makim, as the Ramban explained, asiyas hakelim, shulchan, menorah, mizbeach, ein nechsheves mitzvah b'fnei atzma. The Ramban agrees to the Rambam that these kelim are not counted as a separate mitzvah for a different reason. Mishum she'ein ela hechsher ha'avodah v'achana likra mitzvah, because they are only there as a preparation for the avodah done in the Beis Hamikdash. There's no mitzvah in itself to build these things as a separate thing. They're just there to make a preparation for the avodah done, for the avodah that the Eibusher wants, for the menorah and whatever else has to be done. In order to be able to actually put the bread there, so you have to have the place, the table, available to put it on. To put it in this specific shulchan that the Torah describes. So just like this is true regarding the kelim, that the kelim are like a hechsher mitzvah. They're just there to make the possibility to fulfill the avodah. Same is also true regarding the avodah that the kohanim do with these kelim. It can't be defined as a separate thing, that here are the kohanim and they are chosen and they do this. Can't be defined as a separate thing. And to thank Hashem for this, that they are praised for this avodah. Why not? The fact that they are chosen and appointed for this, muchrachas, is a necessary detail. The main point is the Eibusher wants the bread to be there, the lechem upon him to be there, the menorah to burn in the Beis Hamikdash, the karbanis to be burning on the mizbeach, the zrikas adam and everything else. It's the outcome. It's those details that happen that Hashem wants. Somebody has to do it though. There has to be a person that has to do it. So therefore the kohanim are that necessary detail that come and do it. Without having to place the shulchan where to put the lechem upon him, and the kohanim that are chosen to do the avodah. But they are the necessary ingredient, they are the human beings that are there to make it happen. But you can't designate a separate bracha to thank Hashem for this, that they are chosen, if This is just a necessary detail. A bracha is only when you are benching the Eibishter for the source of the thing, of the real cause of why everything is happening over here. So therefore, according to the Ramban, there's no bracha to thank Hashem for the avodah that the Kohanim do all over in the entire Beis HaMikdash. According to the Ramban, there's a bracha for the Kodesh HaKodashim, which the Rebbe will explain in the next sif why there is a bracha for the Kodesh HaKodashim. So now the question becomes, according to the Ramban, as follows. The Rebbe just explained that according to the Ramban, you're not going to make a separate bracha for the fact that the Kohanim were chosen to serve in the Beis HaMikdash, because that's a necessary detail in order to get that avodah done. The main mitzvah is to do the avodah, that the menorah should be lit, and that there should be karbanos in the mizbeach, and whatever else has to be done. And then there are the necessary details to be able to make that happen. You have to have the shulchan, you have to have the mizbeach, and the other kelim, and you have to have the kohanim to do it. So for necessary detail, for a mitzvah, we don't make a bracha. So the question is, shouldn't we apply the same idea regarding the bracha that we make according to the Ramban? The bracha we make is Baruch Shabacha Ba'aron Ubanov, that the Eibishter chose Aaron Ubanov, that what? That they do the Avodah the Beis HaMikdash, and they bring Lamed L'Sharis in the Lufnei Hashem, the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Beis Kodesh HaKodashim. So the Rebbe explained before, the pshat in that is that just like the Ramban's opinion is that the whole mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash is to bring the Shechina down into the Beis HaMikdash and to bring the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim, so to the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. The whole purpose of the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash is in order to bring the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim. So shouldn't we say the same point? That whatever the Kohanim are doing in their Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash is a necessary detail to bring the Shechina to the Beis HaMikdash, into the Kodesh HaKodashim, that is. And we don't make a bracha on a necessary detail. So why do we make a separate bracha according to the Girsa of the Ramban, that we thank Hashem for choosing Aaron and Banov to bring the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim? So in the next days, the Rebbe will explain that there are two different things about the fact that Aaron and his children were chosen to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. There's the fact that they're chosen to do the Avodah, and as far as that is concerned, it's a necessary detail. Without the Kohanim being there to light the menorah or do any of the other Avodas, it's impossible, it doesn't happen. But as far as drawing the Shechina down in the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Kohanim are not a necessary detail for that. The Shechina comes down in the Kodesh HaKodashim even without their ongoing Avodah. And nevertheless, the Kohanim's Avodah has the great power to affect the Amshachas HaShechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. It's not a necessary detail, but it does. Their Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash draws the Shechina down into the Kodesh HaKodashim. That deserves a special bracha for this great Maila that their Avodah has. Let's see inside. However, there's a distinction here in the fact that the Kohanim were chosen. Regarding the main purpose of the building of the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, what is the purpose? The fact that the Eibishter dwells and rests, his Shechina rests in the Beis HaMikdash. Just as we explained earlier, that according to the Ramban, you don't need the Kelim for the Ashras HaShechina. And therefore the Ramban holds that the Kelim are not part of the structure of the Beis HaMikdash. Two separate things. For the Ashra of the Shechina and the Beis HaMikdash, the Kelim are not a necessary detail, and Aaron and his children that are chosen and do the Avodah are also not a necessary detail. And when you fulfill the command and you build the structure of the Beis HaMikdash, Yukuyim miyad immediately will happen. The Shechina can immediately come into the Beis HaMikdash, into the Mishkan. You don't need the Avodah of the Kohanim for that. The Shechina that comes down L'mayla, the Avodah of the Kohanim is not a necessary detail to bring the Shechina down. The Rebbe adds, even if we will say that for whatever reason the Eibishter's desire is that the Shechina should only come and the Shechina should only dwell in the Beis HaMikdash after Avodah is done. And here, parenthetically, the Rebbe says in the parentheses, this is connected to understanding what exactly is the idea of having the chinuch, the inauguration, the initial Avodah that's done in the Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash, and the Kelim of the Beis HaMikdash, is the point of that chinuch for the purpose of the Beis HaMikdash itself, or is it just the beginning of the very first time you do the Avodah, but it's not necessary for the Hashras HaShechina in the Beis HaMikdash itself? So the Rebbe says, Ve'en kamakoymai. This is not the place to discuss this. So the Rebbe is not concluding, the Rebbe is not saying conclusively whether it's necessary to have at least that one Avodah that the Eibishter desired in order to bring the Shechina to the Beis HaMikdash. But it's possible that one first time the Eibishter did desire, and over there, then, it is a necessary detail, so to speak, to bring the Shechina down. But, even if that's true, for that would be enough the very first time to inaugurate and to draw the Shechina down into the Beis HaMikdash. As we find regarding the Mishkan as soon as it was put up, so miyad, immediately the pasuk says, the glory of Hashem fills the Mishkan. And it's possible to say that the pshat of that pasuk is even before Aveda. The Shechina comes down. And then later on in Parsha Shmini, when it says what happened on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, when they put up the Mishkan and they brought the Karbanos and Ketayres, Shenemar vayere kved Hashem al kolam, that the Eibishter appears, the Eibishter's glory appears to all the nation and dwelled in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Mishkan then. Umekiven shekvar shars hashchina take it b'tchilas hakamasai. So if the Shechina dwells in the Beis HaMikdash or in the Mishkan immediately then when it's put up, va'avoda oz, and the avodah that was done on that day in Rosh Chodesh Nisan, shuven ezaza misham, it doesn't remove from there. Even without any of the Avodah of the Kainim that is done following that time. So the Avodah of the Kainim, as far as bringing the Hashras HaShechina in the Beis HaMikdash, in the Kodesh HaKodashim, is not a necessary detail to make it happen. And therefore the Rebbe says, Val Pizeh, Avodas Aaron Obana Beis HaMikdash, the Avodah of Aaron in the Beis HaMikdash, that they were chosen for to do in all of the Beis HaMikdash. He prat pa mitzvah say shalakravas hakarbonis v'shar avodas bebeis hamikdash. As far as all the other avodas that the Yidden are commanded to do in the Beis Hamikdash, to light the menorah, to bring the karbonis, to put the lechem upon them on the shulchan, as far as those avodas are concerned, the Kainim were chosen as a necessary detail to get it done. So over there, they're being chosen as a detail in the mitzvahs that have to be done in the Beis Hamikdash. Aval eina shayaches leikar hamachuvim b'mikdash. But this that they're being chosen as a necessary detail for those Avedis, that's not connected, and they are not a necessary detail for drawing down the Shechina in the Beis HaMikdash. Hashras HaShechina b'Kodesh HaKodashim, the Hashras HaShechina in the Beis HaMikdash, and specifically the main Hashras HaShechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So there's the Kainim that they were chosen to do the Aveda, and over there they're a necessary detail, so to speak, that they have to be there to do those Avedis. But that's one part of what they were chosen for. That's not connected to the Hashras HaShechina. Now we could explain what's this bracha we say, the additional bracha that we do at the Kainim thank the Eibishter. Baruch Shabbat Chavadanu one of Lam L'Sharas Bebeis Kodesh HaKodashim, thanking the Eibishter that they can serve him in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Shvach Miyuchad, this is a special praise, Ala Vidosam, on the fact that on the avodah that they do, sha'omnom shayeches upayeles liyes hashras hashchina bebeis hamikdash kodesh hakadashim, that the Kayanim's avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, besides the fact that it's a necessary detail for the avodah that has to be done on the shulchan and the menorah and the mizbeach, besides that, their avodah does have an effect and does draw down the shechina into the kodesh hakadashim. He adds some b'chirasam. One aspect of the fact that they are chosen, the very fact that they are chosen la'avodah, to serve muchrachas, over there it's a necessary thing. They're being chosen to do all the avodas which brings Hashem the pleasure of those avodas. That's one component of the fact that the Kohanim were appointed to fill the necessary part of the fulfillment of the avodas of the Beis Hamikdash. But then there's a completely different thing which we make a bracha on. On the first thing, we don't make a bracha because that's a necessary detail for the avodas and for the mitzvah that has to be done in the Beis Hamikdash. Since in their avodah there's also an additional thing, an additional ma'ila. and a special Maila, which is live for Menuchas Vashras Hashchina, that their Avodah has an effect on bringing down the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So in other words, not only when you build the Beis HaMikdash, you're building the Beis HaMikdash to prepare a place for the Shechina to dwell in it and to bring the Shechina in it. But also the Avodah later that follows is an Avodah that brings the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim. That deserves a separate special bracha, Shaboy Mudgish Ha'ilui Ha'naisif, which over here we are emphasizing the additional level, Shabavedas HaKainim, the additional advantage that their Aveda has, which is Ikara Chayfetz Mikdash, the main desire in the Beis HaMikdash, Menuchas Hashchina Shehi Kodesh HaKodashim. That over here, the Kain, we should know that the Kainim have a tremendous Kayach, that their Aveda has an effect on drawing down the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. And over here, it's not a necessary detail, as the Rabbi explained before. The fact that their Aveda affects that is not just a necessary detail that doesn't deserve a bracha, because the Shechina could come into the Kodesh HaKodashim without their Aveda. And the Aveda of the Kainim has an effect on that and draws the Shechina to the Kodesh HaKodashim. That's a tremendous thing, and that deserves a separate bracha. The Rabbi continues, move on. Now we can understand. The first bracha is thanking the Eibishter that there was no disqualification found in any of the descendants of Aaron. And then we thank the Eibishter, an additional bracha, for choosing the Kohanim to serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim. So the question of the Rebbe was, the order of the bracha should be the other way around. First to thank Hashem for choosing and appointing the Kohanim, and then to thank Hashem that there was no psul found in them. But now based on what we explained, it's clear and beautiful to see why it's this order of the brachas. This that we say that we thank Hashem for choosing Aaron HaKohen's descendants. We're not thanking Hashem on the very fact that He chose Aaron and his descendants to do the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. Because if that was the case, so then we go back to our question. And then this bracha comes first. This bracha should come first. First they're being chosen. First they're appointed. Then we can thank for the fact that there was no psul found in them. But that's not what the bracha is for. As far as their avodah in the Beis HaMikdash, they are a necessary detail to get the mitzvahs done. That doesn't deserve a separate bracha. Kiyim, rather, hashvach walzeh shibebeis Kodesh HaKodashim. We're thanking the Eibishter for the fact that the kainim's avodah in all of the Beis HaMikdash has an effect on drawing the Shechina to the Kodesh HaKodashim. Just like building the Beis HaMikdash has an effect on drawing the Shechina to the Kodesh HaKodashim, preparing that place and drawing the Shechina to the Kodesh HaKodashim. The same is with the Avodah that's done in all of the Beis HaMikdash. Al Shapayilim Ba'avodasom, this that they can have an effect through their Avodah, Menuch Sachshina, the Kodesh HaKodashim, that the Shechina should dwell in the Kodesh HaKodashim. This is not a necessary detail as far as what they were appointed for to get the mitzvahs done in the Beis HaMikdash. Over there, that's one component of them being appointed. That it's necessary for them to be there to get the mitzvahs done. But then there's a completely different thing that their avodah accomplishes, that it draws the Shechina to the Kodesh HaKodashim, which is an infinitely greater inyan. So therefore the order of the brachas are as follows. The first bracha that you say is thanking Hashem that there was no psul found in the descendants of Adam. Here we're thanking the Eibishter the fact that there was no psul found. And if there's no psul, that enables them to do the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. So they're thanking Hashem for the fact that they're fit, that there's no psul found in them, which relates to the general avodah done in all of the Beis HaMikdash. Then you go a step higher. And then you thank the Eibishter for another great and unbelievable effect that their avodah has, besides filling the necessary detail to get whatever has to be done, the jobs done in the Beis HaMikdash. There's another great and amazing thing, that their avodah has an effect to draw the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim. And this is their avodah b'chol yom, the avodah that they do every day. Gam b'yoyim zeh, including on this day, lamed l'shadas l'fnei Hashem b'beis Kodesh HaKodashim, to serve the Eibishter, and when you serve the Eibishter anywhere in the Beis HaMikdash, it brings and it affects the dwelling of the Eibishter in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Menuchas hashchina b'hamikdash, to draw the Eibishter into the Beis HaMikdash, shehi b'beis Kodesh HaKodashim, which is primarily in the Kodesh HaKodashim. B'signa and acher ketzas, to say this in a little bit of different words, or over here the Rebbe will explain how to read the actual bracha itself. B'beis Kodesh HaKodashim, when we conclude the bracha, the last words, B'beis Kodesh HaKodashim, shayach rak l'lefonav. Those words is connected to what it says right before, Havaya. That Havaya is in Kodesh HaKodashim. V'loi l'tevis l'sharis. But you shouldn't read it as one long sentence, l'sharis, meaning that they're actually serving the Kodesh HaKodashim. Because they're not serving the Kodesh HaKodashim. We're not talking over here about the Aveda done in Yom Kippur once a year by the Kohen Gadol. We're talking over here about all the Kohenim that do their Aveda all over in the Beis HaMikdash. Elamai, what we're saying is that even the Aveda that any simple Kohen Hedyot does, anywhere in the Beis HaMikdash, according to the Ramban's opinion, just like building the Beis HaMikdash in general is about bringing the presence of the Eibishter into the Beis HaMikdash. The Eibishter says we have a mitzvah and we build and we bring the Shechina into the Beis HaMikdash, which is primarily in the Kodesh HaKodashim. The same is true with any simple Kohen, that whatever Avodah he does anywhere in the Beis HaMikdash, so besides the necessary component and the detail that he's filling in for the job that he's doing, he's also drawing down the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. And this deserves a unique and special bracha. However, based on this we may ask, this whole point is all true during the year. The Kohanim serve the Eibishter in any other place in the Beis HaMikdash, and therefore we have to especially thank the Eibishter. They have to especially thank the Eibishter that what they do anywhere in the Beis HaMikdash still affects the Hashras HaShechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim, although it's not a necessary component, but it affects and brings the Shechina to the Kodesh HaKodashim. So that makes sense. However, when it comes on Yom Kippur, they're commanded. They have to serve in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Bazos Adam, there's the blood sprinkled there. And there's the Ketores that's brought inside over there. So now, how could you then say, a special bracha, that I can serve the Eibishter, that the Kohen Gadol on that day, and Yom Kippur serves the Eibishter in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Harei, muchrav zeh mitzad hatzivui lahazes hadam v'aktoras HaKodesh v'Kodesh HaKodashim. On the day of Yom Kippur, so in the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Avodah that the Kohen Gadol does is only he's the necessary individual that's there to fulfill what the Eibishter wanted, that the mitzvah of Hazas Adam and Aktoras HaKodesh should be done. And as we said before, we don't make a special bracha if what the Kohen is being appointed for is only to fulfill the main mitzvah. He's just a necessary individual to do the mitzvah. So on Yom Kippur, how does this bracha fit? But the Rebbe says that the answer is simple. And this itself is part of the whole thing here. This, that the Mishnah at the end of Middah says, that they made a celebration when the Kohanim were being investigated. Then they didn't find a disqualification. The Sanhedrin then was sitting inside the room of the Lishkas HaGazis, which is in the Azara. There they would go and inspect and judge all the Kohanim. When would they sit there? They would sit there only during a weekday. On a Shabbos and Yom Tov, the Sanhedrin wouldn't be there at all. They would be out of the Azara and the Chel. So the whole bracha, and what it describes over here in the end of Middas, is Takanara Yom Kippur. It happens on a regular weekday. So we understand, it comes out, this bracha that they said to thank the Eibishter for the fact that whatever avodah they do anywhere affects the Hashras HaShechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim, we're talking about a regular weekday. V'loi b'Shabbos v'Yom Tov, it's not on a Shabbos and not on a Yom Tov. V'loi b'Yom Kippurim and not on Yom Kippur either. She'oz masim l'toichen hashrach. So then it's befitting to the content of what we're praising over here. Shavoi this Aaron Abana Bam Mikdash Kuloi. Any avodah on a simple weekday in a specific job that they're doing anywhere in the Beis HaMikdash, poi ls also has an effect. B'menuchas hashchina b'Kodesh HaKodashim. In the dwelling of the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. She'yitochen rak k'shavayda nases dafke b'Mikdash kulay. This special praise only makes sense regarding the Avodah that's done in all the Beis Mikdash. And v'lei kasher Avodah muchrachas li is b'Kodesh HaKodashim, not when we're referring to the special Avodah that has to be done in the Kodesh HaKodashim b'Yom HaKippurim, because then it's just the Kohen is there as the necessary individual to get whatever has to be done in the Kodesh HaKodashim. That's not the Chiddush. That doesn't deserve the special bracha. So according to the Ramban, it comes out in an unbelievable thing. That the idea that the Ramban says that the main chayfetz of the Eibishter is in the Kodesh HaKodashim. And the Rabbi explained that that is the very gather of the mitzvah that you build a Beis HaMikdash to make a place for the Shechina, which is primarily the Kodesh HaKodashim. That same point applies also to the Avodah of every and any kind in the Beis HaMikdash. That whatever he does has an effect on bringing the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. That's an unbelievable thing. So that is the special praise, the second bracha that the Kohanim said that the Mishnah in Midas concludes with. So from here we have an unbelievable lesson regarding our Avodah of Torah and mitzvahs even in our times. Amr Razal, the Gemara says, Tfilas Keneged Tmidin Tikna. Our davening today corresponds to the Karbanis in the Beis HaMikdash. The Yiseirim Yizu B'Limadat Torah, and even more so, this is true regarding when you learn Torah, and Nishalma Padim Sifasenu, when we speak with our lips the words of Torah, we can fulfill also bringing a carbon, like it's like bringing the carbon. When you learn the subject of how you bring a carbon in Torah, it's as if you brought a carbon in any time or in any place. So just as what we explained according to the Rambam, the amazing power of any simple of the one of the kain in the Beis HaMikdash. When the Beis HaMikdash was standing, that what? That noise was in addition to the fact that the kain is that necessary individual that does his job, the specific avodah that brings the Eibush to pleasure, which is the halom l'mata l'mayla, the avodah from below, that he does his specific part in his specific place. The idea is, but even more, shapoyel gam b'am shachas v'ashras hashchina l'mato. Whatever the kain does, in whatever area in the Beis HaMikdash, what he does is also bringing the Shechina down as well. The Eibush will have a dwelling here below. And the Rebbe adds even more. Now this, when the kain, the individual kain, whatever avodah he does, he draws down the Shechina below. We're not only talking here about the fact that obviously whatever avodah a person does, he connects and he draws Shechina and a dwelling of the Eibush in himself. As we know, V'shachanti b'soicham means that the Eibush dwells amongst them. That the Eibush dwells in the Yid and in his surroundings of B'svivasai. Ella, even more, as we said before, like it is in the Beis HaMikdash, shepoyel umamshech hashras hashchina b'makken Kodesh HaKodashim. Just like every kain draws down the Shechina into the Kodesh HaKodashim, every Yid in his avodah draws down the Shechina in the Kodesh HaKodashim. Shesham hi b'chinas Kodesh HaKodashim shel kol ha'olam. This is the Kodesh HaKodashim of all the Eilumis, the holiest place. Dugmas avodas Aaron Abanov. So what we do today is similar to the way, the power that the avodah of Aaron and his children had. Hanas is ba'azara v'chulu. Even an avodah that's done outside, it's done in the azara, bringing the karbanis. Shehi mamsheches hashraasa shel hashchina b'kodesh HaKodashim. That avodah of a simple kain outside in the azara brings the Shechina down into the Kodesh HaKodashim. So from this we understand Goydel ha'achrayis ba'avedas kol echad v'echad b'Torah mitzvahs. The great responsibility that lies upon every individual in doing any individual mitzvah or learning Torah. Shem chasa b'avedasa. If there's anything lacking in his aveda, he's not only lacking in his personal relationship and the dwelling of the Shechina in him. What one individual Yid does has an effect on the entire world and in the Kodesh HaKodashim that's negayah to everybody. So if you're lacking by you, it's not just something that you're lacking personally, but it's lacking for the Hashras HaShechina in the holiest place that's negayah to everybody. Uleidach move on, and on the other hand we understand Maila Hanefla Shabavidasai V'Teira or Tfilah Shchalech V'Echad Yisrael, the great Maila, the unbelievable Maila that there is in a word of Torah, in a word of davening that any individual Yid says, and the effect of the Ashras HaShechina that it has in the entire world. Through all of this, we bring closer and we hasten the time that we will once again be able to bring all the karbanis as Hashem desired. The Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, in the third Beis HaMikdash, Sheyered v'Yizgaleh, that will come down and descend and be revealed. In the Heirav Yameinu Bekarev Mamish.